everyone, and welcome to Two-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best two-player board games for you. In today's video, I have Vantage by Stonemaier Games. After you crash land on an unknown planet, it's up to you and your crewmates to fulfill your mission. This could be finding a new home or finding a way back to your old home. But you have to do this by completing quests. You could even find your destiny and fulfill it. It's all up to you in this sandbox co-op game. But what is it like? How does it play? And is it a good game for you? Well, let's explore. Vantage is a game for 1 to 6 players that plays in 2 to 3 hours. Now, you can sort of stretch that basically to as long as you like. We have played a session of 4 hours, but we've also played sessions that were more along the lines of 2. It's all up to you, basically. It's at a 2.34 on Board Game Geek for complexity, so I would call that relatively easy, maybe edging a bit towards medium because of the length of the game, but it's certainly not a hard or complex game. But it is a high luck game. It's all about dice rolls and choosing the right options. Sometimes it's not always very clear, so high luck. So this is what your table might look like, frankly, in the middle of a game, because we are in the middle of a game as of filming this video. So this side is my husband's side, that is my side. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how the game plays. So after setup, which is done with these cards and the Vantage, you end up at a certain point. Now, on your turn, you can do one action. So that can be an action that is on your card, which is these actions. That can be an action on your character, for example, or that could be an action on the mission or on the destiny, depending on what you have at that point. Or there's also cards in the center you can do an action on if you are at that area. You can only do one action on one location for the entire game. So once you've done one of these actions at this location, even if you were to go back to that location, you have already done an action here, so you can't do another one again. Now, you can see a green gully gouges the grassy ground ahead. Here you can see where you need to go or what you can do and where to go. For example, if you head east, you would go to number 700. But if you wanted to do one of the other ones, you'd have to read the Depart book. For this turn, my husband is playing the orange character, so he is going to hire. What you do is you take the orange encounter book, in this case the Engage storybook, and you read what it says for that number. Now, not to give spoilers, I'm not going to. But you would get, for example, what you are going to do, as in who you are going to hire, and what that would cost. Now, those costs come in challenge dice. It will tell you how many dice you need to roll, for example, 4, and then you roll said challenge dice. And then depending on what you roll, that's what you do. So, for example, these are 3 zeros, so that's nothing. That's very good. And other challenge dice you might be able to place on your cards. So for example, if it was an orange action, which this was, I could add this dice to this card and thus placing a cube here. If you can't place a dice, you take that penalty on the board. If any of these tokens were to reach 0, that would possibly be the end of the game. You'd have to read a certain passage in one of the books. This is your mission. In this case, it was start a new settlement. And we currently have the destiny. Of winning duels. You'll learn about that once you play the game. It's something you have to do. As I said before, you keep going until you either reach your mission, in which case you can choose to end the game with a mission victory, or you can continue on to have a destiny victory, aka an epic victory. That is what we are doing in this case. We have already reached our mission, but we are going for a destiny. And you lose the game if you were to reach 0. After you've handled the penalties of the challenge, you then get the reward. This could be a card, this could be something else. The book will tell you what you gain. Sometimes you can gain money, and sometimes you gain skills, which can be used in future checks. After you have done your turn, it is the next player's turn. The back of pretty much all of the storybooks is a guide on how to do your turn, tells you how it works, so there is a lot of player references in this game. And that is how you play Vantage. Sometimes you need to roll skill dice, gain boosts, other stuff, but in general, that's the game. Teaching Vantage to new players probably takes you anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how quickly people get the hang of certain concepts. Now, I would suggest that you have someone who knows what they're doing do the box management and help with the setup, because then that will take quite a bit of time, but if you know what you're doing, it goes very quickly. If you're looking for a sandbox, open world, co-op kind of game, then this could be good for you. It's a non-campaign game, so every game is separate. There is no taking things from a last game except for knowledge. You can write stuff down, you can remember stuff from the other game and use that knowledge in the new game. Two players can have very different experiences in the same game. I have once basically been stuck in a desert trying to find stuff, and my husband has been in a jungle doing something completely different and trying to catch all the animals he can while I'm trying to fix a radio tower. So there's a lot of different things that can happen in one game to different players because it's such a vast world. So if you're looking for a standalone sandbox kind of game, then this is a wonderful fit. We really quite like Vantage. There is so much in this box, there is so much to do in the world of Vantage. There are so many missions you can have, and you don't know what you're going to be doing sort of beforehand. You get a mission, and then you can find a destiny to do. There are side quests galore that you can do. But there is a thing that it's not always very clear when you've finished certain things. So missions sometimes aren't extremely clear of when you've finished said mission. We have had it a few times in which we are basically quickly Googling if we'd actually finished it at that point because we didn't really understand the phrasing of the mission. But eventually you do get there, and sometimes you just, if you haven't seen the phrase yet, you haven't found it yet. The game will tell you you have found it. But that is something that was annoying, and still slightly is annoying, but we are sort of getting better at it and learning more about the game as we play it. The turns are smooth and quite quick, and it goes by really easily. Especially with two, it's either you are doing something or you are reading for the person who's doing something, so it's always engaging. So in general, we are really enjoying our time with Vantage, and we look forward to learning more about the world and discover more in Vantage. Vantage is pretty much the same with every player count. It always ends the same. You always have a mission that's not dependent on how many people there are. The quests and the goals are not dependent on how many people there are. Well, slight dependencies when it comes to how many you need to do, for example, but other than that, it's not some quests can only be done with 3+ or whatever. Now, we personally really like 2 players, because it means that you are either doing something or reading something for the other player. With 3 and 4, that's still doable as well. It's not that long in between your turns, but once you get to 5+, basically, it feels like quite a long time outside of your turn, and you sort of lose the plot of what is happening around you and what is happening around other people. Now, for some people this might be what they want, for other people like us, it's not. So for us, we're going to stick with 2 players, possibly 4, but no more than that. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Vantage. If you want to see another one of my reviews, you can click up here. If you have any comments, feedback or suggestions, you can put them down below, and I look forward to seeing you next time on 2 Player Quest.